We are 69 days away from inauguration. Or not. Even after all we have been through, I am just amazed and horrified by Donald Trump's willingness to destroy anything in front of him. First, he undercut the credibility of journalism. Then he went after the independence of the courts. He misused the military, scoffed at science, ridiculed academics, and demonized the left, of course. But what he's doing right now is attacking the process this country was built on. We elect our leaders. When they are done with their term of office, or when we are done with them and vote them out, they go. They peacefully hand over the power to the next person in the chain of democratic government that goes all the way back to George Washington. This idea is so fundamental, and it was so radical in its day that Lin-Manuel Miranda described it in Hamilton. These are Miranda's words. They say George Washington's yielding his power and stepping away. Is that true? I wasn't aware that was something a person could do. That was, of course, in response to the king. That was his statement in Hamilton. Okay, I'm sure I can work on my rapping, of course, but just to make it very clear, this is very important. Here we are 230 years later, and Donald Trump is denying the election results and refusing to step away. Sure, he has a right to ask for recounts or any other regular process to establish, as he says, that all legal votes were counted and none of the illegal ones, whatever that means. What he does not have a right to do is kick over the fundamental principles of our country on his way out the door. He is doing long-term damage that is much bigger than Trump himself. Those in his party who are letting him do this should be ashamed of themselves, and they should be called out. Mitch McConnell knows better. Mike Pompeo is a history teacher. He certainly knows better. This election is over. There is no evidence, none, not a zero of fraud or errors that could even possibly reverse the results in one state, let alone 3 or 4 that would be needed to undo Biden's victory. Yet the Trump attack on the American electoral system continues. Let me read you something, and I quote, "One potential strategy discussed by Mr. Trump's legal team would be attempting to get courts to delay vote certification in critical states, potentially positioning Republican-controlled legislatures to appoint pro-Trump electors who could swing the Electoral College in his favor," end quote. Where did I read this? It wasn't in Jacobin or The Nation. I read it in a critique against Trump and his actions in the Republican Party in today's Wall Street Journal. Third paragraph of a front page news story. The Wall Street Journal is warning us there is madness in the White House, that Trump's team is considering wildly destructive ideas. Well, when the Wall Street Journal sounds the alarm, you know it's time to shut this thing down. Now, maybe Trump won't go that far. Maybe Trump is just trying to keep the right energized for the Georgia voting in January for the runoff, the Senate runoff. Or maybe he is pandering to his base, so they will follow him from politics to his secret TV network where he can actually do reality TV and, you know, what he's good at. I have no idea, and we cannot sit around waiting to find out. It is all equally outrageous. The legitimacy of the American electoral system is not a tool to boost turnout in Georgia. We can't set the precedent for this in the future. Try phone banking instead for Georgia. That might work, Republicans. And we surely cannot destroy the legitimacy of American elections as an instrument for media marketing. But of course, this has been the problem all along. Donald Trump has no regard and barely an awareness of what institutions mean. They are just obstacles to his goals, especially if those institutions are there to protect the basic tenets of our democracy. The rest of the Republican Party has been just way too craven or too frightened to stop him. Well, I have a message to both parties, Democrats too. You are each at a crossroads. What you do in the next few weeks and even days will shape who you are for a long time. The Democrats know what the country needs and what the people want, an economically just system. That means you have to pick between your corporate seducers and a progressive political party. You know which side I'm on. But also read the room. To continue to side with corporate cronies and banks and the military-industrial complex right now, come on, man. And Republicans, you have an equally important decision. Your party has always been a defender of our institutions, especially the crusty ones that need to be gutted. often defending them as an excuse to hold back change. But we all agree those institutions matter and that without them, we descend into autocracy. We, as progressives, believe in government. So Republicans, are you going to keep relying on dirty tricks to win? And those beloved institutions of yours dismantle as a result of these dirty tricks? Your Faustian bargain with the devil, with the yellow hair, is now about to destroy what you have so long defended. The Republicans' own lawyers argued that elections have to end. They have to have it end. Well, this one is well over, and your side, Republicans, lost the top job. Although there are plenty of down ballot races we would like to reverse on our side. We are headed to a very dangerous place where elections don't mean anything if someone, you, me, the cat in a hat, I don't know, if we don't like the outcome. But if elections don't mean anything, what kind of lowercase d democracy do we have? The election is over, and the rebuilding of this country needs to start. We have an excellent show today. We have Thomas Frank. He is here for the entire show. We're going to talk about his favorite restaurants. No, we're going to talk about the future of the Democratic Party and the fall of the Democratic Party. But first, here are the news stories at the top of my feed. On Tuesday, the Senate Appropriations Committee called for almost $700 billion in funding to military expenses. But at the same time, Senate Republicans are proposing cuts to funding for an OSHA training grant program. This program is responsible for funding organizations that train workers and employees, quote, on the recognition, avoidance, and prevention of safety and health hazards in their workplaces, end quote. In other words, the party that claims to revere American values of freedom and justice is going to make it easier, not harder, for American lives to be put in danger in the workplace. We already know that the GOP are hypocrites and that their party strategy is guided by profit motive. This just puts their war on the working class in plainer terms. Okay, Biden's administration is ramping up its transition, which we have covered, which includes the creation of a task force to address the coronavirus outbreak. As Trump clings to power, he continues to reject any kind of meaningful action to support and protect the American people. Biden has been democratically elected, meaning that it is Trump's responsibility to acknowledge the will of the people and comply with the transition process. But as a recent piece for Common Dreams points out, Trump's rejection of the election outcome is also endangering a strong government response to COVID-19. ICU beds in Tulsa, Oklahoma are full right now. The U.S. is reporting unprecedented COVID infection numbers, and our current president is determined to keep full attention on his authoritarian power grab. Not to mention the chair of the task force on coronavirus is on vacation. Mike Pence, our sitting vice president in charge of this crisis for the next few months at least, is on vacation as the U.S. reaches record COVID rates. And that is the state of the country today. Thanks for watching and listening to The Nomiki Show. But remember to click like and subscribe on YouTube, and please share on social media. If you're not already a patron, please join us for as low as $5 a month on patreon.com/The Nomiki Show for early and special content. That investment makes a huge difference. We are not corporate media raking in the dough. It's really you guys that are keeping us going. So please consider being a patron. And to our current patrons, thank you so much. We are incredibly grateful to you. We also now have swag. So check us out on thenomikishow.com to get your mugs, your totes, and your stickers.